Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something today. Life will always give you reasons to flinch, to react, to snap back, to lose yourself for a moment. But if you want to move forward, if you want to rise above the noise, you have to learn the art of acting like nothing bothers you. Not because nothing ever does. No, you're human. But because you refuse to let the world see you break every time something shakes you. Staying unbothered is a skill, not a personality trait. And understanding this is the first step toward taking back control of your emotional world. People often believe that some individuals are naturally calm, naturally unshaken, naturally untouched by life's chaos. But the truth is, nobody is born with that level of emotional control. It is practiced, built, strengthened, and sharpened over time. It comes from experience, from struggle, from getting knocked down, and learning that reacting wildly doesn't change the situation. It only drains you. The ability to remain composed is something developed intentionally, the same way a person trains a muscle. And just like any training, it requires consistency, awareness, and the desire to improve. When you realize that staying unbothered is a skill, you stop making excuses. You stop saying, "That's just how I am," or "I can't help it." You begin to recognize that your reactions are choices, not automatic destinies. You start catching yourself before you snap. You begin observing your triggers instead of being ruled by them. You learn to take a breath, to pause, to think, to evaluate whether the situation deserves your energy or whether your peace is more valuable. And most of the time, your peace is worth far more than whatever is trying to disturb it. This skill grows when you stop giving people the power to define how you feel. Someone can insult you, misunderstand you, underestimate you. But you decide whether that sticks. You decide whether it enters your spirit. You decide whether it deserves a reaction. Staying unbothered does not mean you don't care about anything. It means you choose what is worth caring about. It means you no longer allow small things to create big storms inside you. It means you protect your mental space the way you protect something precious. Because it is. Another part of developing this skill is learning that emotional discipline is not suppression. You're not pretending things don't affect you. You're mastering how to deal with them internally before you respond externally. You're choosing maturity over impulsiveness. You're choosing clarity over chaos. You're choosing strength over sensitivity to every noise around you. This doesn't make you cold, it makes you wise. It means you understand the power of responding instead of reacting. It means you've learned that not everything deserves a show, a fight, or a breakdown. You also learn that being unbothered allows you to stay focused. When you refuse to be shaken by distractions, people, or circumstances, you can concentrate on your goals with laser precision. You stop wasting time defending yourself. You stop chasing explanations. You stop trying to prove points to people who aren't even listening. Your energy becomes directed toward growth, creation, and progress. And because of that, you start achieving more. Not because life gets easier, but because your mind gets stronger. Most importantly, staying unbothered creates a type of confidence that can't be faked. When you know you can handle anything without losing yourself, you walk differently, speak differently, move differently. You become grounded, centered, and steady. And that steadiness becomes your superpower, one you built through patience, discipline, and the decision to rise above anything that tries to pull you down. Acting calm gives you control over your reactions and your image, and this is one of the most powerful advantages a person can have in a world filled with pressure. conflict, and constant judgment. Calmness is not simply the absence of emotion. It is the presence of self-control. When you choose to respond with composure, you stay in charge of the situation instead of letting the situation take charge of you. People often believe that the loudest, quickest, or most dramatic reaction shows strength, but in reality, it is the calm person who holds the real power. Reacting emotionally may feel satisfying in the moment, but acting calm creates long-term influence, respect, and stability. The moment you learn that your reaction is the only part of life you truly control, you start to understand how valuable calmness really is. When you act calm, you give your mind the space it needs to think clearly. Strong emotions like anger, frustration, or embarrassment can cloud judgment and push you into decisions you later regret. But when you pause, breathe, and maintain your composure, you give yourself time to choose the right words and actions. This prevents unnecessary arguments, broken relationships, and impulsive choices. It also allows you to see solutions that you would have missed if you had reacted in the heat of the moment. Calmness doesn't mean ignoring your feelings. It means not letting those feelings control your behavior. It is the difference between being driven by chaos and being guided by wisdom. Acting calm also shapes how the world sees you. Whether you realize it or not, your image influences opportunities, relationships, and how much trust people have in your ability to handle responsibility. When you remain calm during stressful or emotional moments, people begin to view you as stable, reliable, and mature. They believe they can trust you, depend on you, and without fear. This reputation alone can open doors that pure talent cannot. Employers notice it. Leaders respect it. Friends and family appreciate it. And even your critics become cautious when they realize they can't easily shake or provoke you. Another important part of acting calm is the energy you communicate. Humans mirror the emotions of the people around them. If you panic, others panic. If you become angry, others become defensive. But if you stay calm, you influence the atmosphere in a positive way. You bring clarity into confusion and steadiness into chaos. You become the person who de-escalates tension simply by being composed. This is a rare strength in a world where most people react first and think later. And while calmness influences others, its greatest benefit is how it transforms you internally. When you act calm consistently, your nervous system learns to stay steady. Your stress level drops, your thoughts become clearer. You begin to feel more confident because you trust yourself not to lose control. You become more patient, more resilient, and more capable of handling life's challenges without feeling overwhelmed. Acting calm becomes a habit that protects your peace and strengthens your identity. It gives you the ability to move through the world with dignity, purpose, and emotional intelligence, allowing you to rise above situations that would have once pulled you down. People's opinions lose power when you stop feeding them attention, and this simple truth can shift the entire direction of your life. From childhood to adulthood, people are conditioned to care deeply about what others think, how they look, how they speak, what they choose, and whether they fit in. But the reality is, most people's opinions are reflections of their own fears, insecurities, and limitations, not a reflection of your worth or your potential. When you allow someone's comment, judgment, or criticism to disturb your peace, you are essentially handing them a piece of your identity. You are letting them decide how you feel about yourself. You are allowing their perspective to override your own. But the moment you stop giving attention, to these external voices, you regain control over your self-worth, your confidence, and your direction. People talk because it's easy. It costs nothing to judge. It costs nothing to gossip. It costs nothing to criticize. Most opinions are made without knowledge, without understanding, and without empathy. And many times, the people who speak the loudest are the ones doing the least in their own lives. When you feed these opinions with your reactions, anger, frustration, or the desire to defend yourself, you give them strength. You validate them. You allow them to grow. But when you ignore them, when you stay focused, when you refuse to let their noise interrupt your peace, those same opinions begin to fade. People stop trying to get a reaction from you because they realize you cannot be shaken. The most powerful individuals are not the ones who win every argument. They're the ones who don't need to argue at all. They understand that the world will always have something to say, no matter what they do. If you succeed, some people will criticize you. If you fail, they'll criticize you even more. If you do nothing, they'll criticize that too. There is no version of you that satisfies everyone. The only version that matters is the one that satisfies you. This realization frees you from caring about how you appear in the eyes of people who are not living your life, not painting your battles, not fighting your battles, and not walking your journey. When you stop giving attention to opinions that don't matter, your mind becomes clearer. You begin to hear your own thoughts again. You begin to trust your own intuition. You stop second guessing yourself and start standing firmly in who you are. You stop changing your personality to fit in with people who weren't meant to stay. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You stop apologizing for being yourself. And as your confidence grows, your life begins to open up. New opportunities appear because you are no longer trapped by fear of judgment. New relationships form because you attract people who appreciate authenticity, not performance. Most importantly, ignoring unnecessary opinions teaches you emotional freedom. You learn that peace is internal, not external. You realize that the only opinion that can truly hold you back is your own. And when your self-belief becomes stronger than the world's commentary, you become unstoppable. Peace is built by choosing what deserves your energy, and this understanding becomes a turning point in how you navigate your daily life. Every day you wake up with a certain amount of mental, emotional, and physical energy. That energy is precious. Once it's spent, you don't get it back. But most people give it away without thinking. They waste their energy on arguments that don't matter, on people who drain them, on situations that don't help them grow, and on worries that never come true. And then at the end of the day, they wonder why they feel exhausted, overwhelmed, or lost. True peace begins when you start treating your energy like your most valuable currency, spending it wisely and intentionally. Choosing what does not energy means understanding the difference between what is important and what is simply loud. Life is full of noise, opinions, drama, distractions, temptations, and responsibilities that seem urgent but aren't truly meaningful. When you respond to everything, you scatter your power. But when you learn to filter, to prioritize, and to let go of what is unnecessary, you protect your spirit. You begin to notice that not every conversation requires your participation. Not every rude comment requires your response. And not every stressful moment requires your panic. You gain control by evaluating whether something genuinely adds value to your life or simply pulls you away from your purpose. This mindset also teaches you boundaries. Peace cannot exist where there are no boundaries. Because without them, people will take your time, drain your emotions, and distract you without consequence. Choosing what deserves your energy means you stop saying yes when your spirit is screaming no. It means you step away from people who thrive on negativity, from habits that slow down your progress, and from environments that suffocate your growth. You begin to recognize which connections uplift you and which ones drain you. You learn that protecting your peace sometimes means disappointing others, but it never means disappointing yourself. As you practice this, you start to understand that peace is an active choice, not a passive state. You don't find peace by waiting for life to calm down. You create peace by choosing what to engage with and what to release. It becomes a daily decision to focus on what builds you instead of what breaks you. It becomes a discipline of not letting small things steal big moments. It becomes an act of self-respect, a declaration that your mental and emotional well-being matters more than pleasing everyone else. What's powerful is how your life changes when you reclaim your energy. Stress begins to fade because you're no longer overwhelmed by everything around you. Your relationships improve because you're no longer drained by unnecessary conflict. Your goals become clearer because your mind isn't cluttered with distractions. You become more present, more intentional, and more aware of what truly matters. You feel lighter because you've stopped carrying burdens that were never yours to hold. Choosing what deserves your energy not only brings peace, it brings strength. It teaches you that walking away is not a sign of weakness, but of wisdom. It teaches you that silence can be louder than shouting, that calm can be more powerful than chaos. And that peace is something you build from the inside out by protecting your energy like the priceless resource it is. Self-confidence grows when you stop reacting to every disturbance. And this truth becomes clearer the more you experience life. Confidence is not from living in a world without problems. It is built from learning that problems don't have the power to control you. Every time you choose not to react impulsively, every time you decide to stay calm instead of exploding, every time you refuse to let someone else's behavior dictate your emotions, you strengthen your inner foundation. You begin to trust yourself more. You start that you can handle whatever comes your way without falling apart. And this steady belief in your ability to stay composed becomes the root of genuine confidence. Many people think confidence is about being loud, bold, or visibly strong, but real confidence is the quiet knowing that you don't have to respond to everything that tries to provoke you. When you react to every insult, every rumor, every misunderstanding, or every inconvenience, you teach yourself that your emotions are easily controlled. You tell your mind that the world has the power to shake you whenever it wants. But when you start choosing your reactions carefully, you show yourself that your emotions belong to you. You reinforce the idea that nothing outside of you has authority over your internal state unless you allow it. That is where confidence begins. As you stop reacting to every disturbance, your sense of identity becomes stronger. You no longer bend based on the opinions, moods, or behaviors of others. You don't lose yourself trying to defend your reputation or prove your worth. You stop overthinking and start understanding that silence is often more powerful than explanations. You begin to value your peace more than being right in every situation. When you stop chasing validation or approval from others, you start validating yourself. This internal validation becomes a powerful source of confidence that no one can take away. A major part of growing confidence through emotional discipline is realizing that not all battles deserve your attention. Some things are simply not worth the emotional energy. When you stop stepping every conflict, you conserve your strength for the moments that truly require your effort. You learn to recognize which challenges are meaningful and which ones are distractions. And as you make this distinction more consistently, you begin to see yourself as someone who navigates life with wisdom rather than impulsiveness. This self-perception naturally boosts your confidence because you feel more in control of your reactions, decisions, and direction. Another powerful shift happens in your relationships. When people realize you are no longer easily shaken, they start treating you with more respect. Those who thrive on drama, conflict, or manipulation lose interest because they can no longer influence you. You stop attracting chaos and start attracting calm, mature, and supportive connections. This change in your environment reinforces your belief in your own strength and stability, making you even more confident in your ability to protect your peace. On a deeper level, your self-worth increases because you're no longer allowing emotional turbulence to define you. You discover that you are stronger than you thought, calmer than you imagined, and more capable than you believed. You learn that you don't need to match the chaos around you. You can rise above it. And each time you do, your confidence grows a little more. You prove to yourself that emotional maturity is not weakness. It is power. It is clarity. It is freedom. And it becomes a foundation you can rely on, no matter how loud or unpredictable the world becomes. The greatest strength is responding with dignity, not emotion. And this truth becomes more valuable the more you understand how life really works. Dignity is not about being perfect or pretending nothing affects you. It is about choosing to rise above chaos instead of drowning in it. Anyone can react with anger, frustration, or fear. That's easy. But it takes real strength to pause, breathe, and respond with maturity and clarity when the situation tries to pull you into negativity. When you hold on to your dignity, you protect your character, your reputation of self, and your sense of self. You show yourself and the world that you are guided by purpose, not impulse. Responding with dignity means you don't let people drag you into their storms. It means you refuse to mirror someone else's bad behavior just because they expect it or because the moment feels heated. You understand that the way you respond says more about you than the situation itself. When someone tries to provoke you, they are often expecting a reaction. They want to see you lose control. They want to pull you into their emotional world. But when you answer with calm logic, steady confidence, and self-respect, you take away their power. You turn the situation around without lowering your standards or sacrificing your integrity. There is a deep power in being able to stay rooted when others are shaking. Dignity gives you that power. When you respond with emotional outbursts, you often say things you don't mean, make decisions you regret, and create consequences you didn't intend. But when you respond with dignity, you change the outcome. You create space for clarity. You show leadership, and you maintain control over your own actions. You demonstrate that you are driven by your values rather than your temporary emotions. This is what separates the strong from the reactive, the wise from the impulsive, and the grounded from the unstable. Responding with dignity also teaches you emotional independence. You stop letting the behavior of others dictate how you feel or how you act. You realize that not everyone deserves your emotional energy. Some people thrive on chaos, drama, or conflict. They want to see you fall apart because it justifies their own instability. But when you refuse to join them, you protect your peace and elevate your presence. People begin to see you as composed, reliable, and unshakable. That image isn't built by being perfect. It is built by choosing dignity over emotional reactions again and again.